All right.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday Tea Time for St Andrews Golf Magazine. This evening I'm joined by Les Bailey of Pro Golf Now and Elizabeth Bethel, also of Pro Golf Now. This week we'll be discussing the amazing happenings in the world of golf last week, where we had the HSBC Women's Champions come down to an amazing climax in Singapore. We had the Honda Classic, which was just remarkable on the Sunday, and also we'll be previewing the WGC-Cadillac Championship at Durrell. So, Elizabeth, to start with you, an incredible putt by Paula Creamer, 75 foot on the final hole on a world-class golf course at the HSBC Women's Champions.
Wasn't that the most amazing thing you've ever seen? I loved it. I loved it. She stood there. She looked at it. She took a deep breath. She gathered herself. She had no intention of sinking that putt. She only wanted to get close so she could go another hole. And then it rolled and it rolled. And it went over the ridge, and it made a small left turn, and it kept rolling, and it looked like it was going to stop. And it rolled some more, and then it turned again, and it dropped.
What a description.
It was absolutely
That sounds like a play-by-play right there.
It was a play-by-play. I've watched the video over and over and over because I couldn't believe that the ball did what it did.
Right.
And neither could she.
The guys on Morning Drive even said that okay, we can take a break now because it's going to be a while till that putt drops in the hole.
It was unbelievable.
It's looking at the speed of the putt though. By the time it went in the hole, it's probably a good thing that she made it, because I don't know, she was looking probably 7 or 8 feet coming back, right?
Yeah. I mean, it picked up at the end, but it went home. It was like a little homing pigeon.
Well, I mean, the girls did really well in terms of scoring. Obviously, slightly shorter course, but that course was used for the Singapore Open for many years and attracted a really good field. Phil Mickelson, Adam Scott, quite a few of the top players played it. And that was a very difficult golf course. And 10 under winning score, very good for that tournament, I would say. And you had a superb leaderboard at the top with Munoz obviously in the playoff, birdie 17 to get into the playoff. Pettersson wasn't too far behind either, so it was a good leaderboard. Well,
in a way it was. I mean, Stacey Lewis didn't exactly stand out.
Oh. I know she's a Stacey Lewis fan.
Well, I would like for her to be in the red.
Well, I think that
for heaven's sakes,
you can't. There are certain courses that players do well on, and some that they don't, and it's a very long season.
Oh, come on now, Matt. She was the defending champion. She just didn't play well.
But wasn't it a different golf course last time? I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh, was it? I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, oh. I'm pretty certain it was.
So we'll forgive her because she had to play on a new golf course?
Well, yes. Yeah.
That's...
It's pretty important, I would say.
I was happy. I'll tell you, I was very happy to see Pettersson and Park neck and neck, because that means that the battle will continue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a very good start to the season, hasn't it? And,
yeah.
Exciting news. I've been moaning for weeks about the lack of LPGA golf on our screens in the UK, and today Sky Sports signed a 2-year deal to show, I think it's 10 events throughout the year.
Oh, it's fabulous.
All the majors and some other significant events, plus the end of the year. And John is joining us.
John, hi.
Sorry, I'm taken aback.
Well, the one thing that disappointed me about watching that tournament is I think all the announcers are from either New Zealand or Australia.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really any announcers that we here in the United States know. There was no Judy Rankin or I don't know if I was disappointed, but it was like it wasn't the same as having a tournament here. Let's put it that way.
Well, Les, come on now. I really enjoyed those people. They had a different take on it. It was fresh. I got to think about it from their point of view.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't watchable golf. I just said, you're used, on the main broadcast here for PGA, we're used to seeing, Nick, and we're used to seeing Johnny Miller and a few people, and even on a European tour, the same guys announce all the time. What's his name?
Dougie Donnelly.
Yes, Dougie Donnelly. And, we're used to seeing certain people on a golf broadcast, and in the LPGA, it looks like they would send somebody down there to cover the tournament,
Well, I think they should send you and me.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I've been saying that for a while. They really need to send you and me, and we could do a dynamite job.
Well, John, did you see any of the HSBC Women's Champions this weekend and the Paula Creamer putt?
Yes, I saw the putts. It was astonishing. It reminds me of some of the putts I've seen from Andrews course. Exactly. 75 yards, yeah. I've seen those putts almost every other day. They're fantastic to watch.
How many of them do you see made like that?
You'd be surprised. It's complete fluke. You're always, as I think as Elizabeth mentioned earlier, you're trying to get as close to the hole as possible. It was fantastic to watch. It's great when it goes in. It's exactly the same euphoric jump up and down. Did I really just do that? That you experience out in the old course with golfer. It's great.
So, myself and Les discussed last week briefly the concept of Women's World Golf Championships. I've done an interview for the magazine with Craig Cann, the communications director of the LPGA, and I asked him that question about if that would ever happen, and it's something I think that they'd love to see. Obviously, the HSBC sponsor the men and the women's tournament, and it would be nice to see 4 times a year the men and the women play the same course, like the US Open this year, and it would really give energy to the LPGA Tour as well, wouldn't it, Elizabeth?
Oh, I think it'd be wonderful. I really do.
Do you really see the ladies playing Dove Mountain?
Why
Well,
not?
it's not going to be at Dove Mountain, so they don't have that worry.
Eventually, it's going to go back there,
But what's the problem? What's the problem, Les?
It's a brutal golf course. It's
you think there are
sometimes
some
brutal conditions and.
Yeah, but the ladies played Oakmont. I mean, Oakmont is the hardest golf course in America.
I understand, and they have their tees moved to wherever they have their tees moved to.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Dove Mountain Dove Mountain is just a rugged golf course, and it's a man's golf course.
Oh, come on, Les. I knew we were going
Done got myself in trouble, didn't I?
I knew I could push you and make you say that.
All right, I'm a chauvinist.
All right, there we got it.
It's on tape.
So it's Paula Creamer's 10th LPGA win, but she's not a prolific winner. She's won twice now in 6 years, and it's 9 years since her first win. She's super talented, and she's very popular, but she doesn't seem to win that very often.
She plays right below the wind, doesn't she? You could get into all kinds of psychological discussion about women who don't play to win as opposed to women who do.
Yeah.
Hey, that happens on the PGA Tour also. I mean, Jason Day has spent the last 4 years just under the win line. Just couldn't win one until this last weekend or 2 weeks ago. So I don't think it's an LPGA thing as far as Paula Creamer, right?
I've been watching Caroline Headwall, who's a really, really aggressive player. I mean, she's just so strong and so aggressive, and she can't close the deal. She's done it over and over and over again. She starts strong. She stays strong through the second round. Then she wimps out. and drops down, and I can't figure it out. What is it? I mean, that's where the middle part of golf is a really different game than the technical part, because Paula Creamer and Caroline Headwall both have winning games. I mean, at the technical level, they're winners. They're really good golfers. So what is it that goes on in somebody's head as you get down to the third and fourth round, that you kind of run out of mental steam, or you just don't have the killer piece in you that it takes?
Well, let me ask you this question. On the PGA Tour, you got Zach Johnson, who's got 9 PGA wins. And how long has he been on tour? 12, 14 years?
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy is tough as nails. He's scrappy. He's a one-trick pony with his swing. I mean, he plays a draw all the time. But then turn around and look at Tiger Woods, who's got 79 wins, and say, what in the world's the difference? It's the winning attitude that's the difference.
It's the killer instinct.
The killer instinct. That's exactly what it is.
So John, I mean, me and you have seen it on the old course quite a few times, you more than me, but people who get off to such a great start, they're playing great, and then they lose it as they go through the round, and they end badly. And it's the same for any level of golfer, I suppose.
Yes, it is.
Happened to Roy McIlroy this last weekend.
John, can you hear us?
I'm catching snatches. I've just taken my headphones off and put you on the computer speaker, so coming through clear.
Okay. So I mean, we have seen it before of all levels of golf, where they've just not maintained that from start to finish. And obviously, we're moving on now to the Honda Classic, because the prime example of that this week is Rory McIlroy. Outstanding golf on Thursday and Friday, and he scrapped his way around on Saturday. I think it was quite impressive to see him get himself into position to stay in the lead, and indeed extend his lead from 1 shot to 2 shots. And he started really well on Sunday. Birdie, and then a bogey, and then a birdie, and he was 1 under, 3 shots clear at one stage, and then the wheels just well and truly fell off, and it was a bad stretch. It really was a bad stretch. But obviously, we can't talk about the Honda Classic without talking about what I would say is certainly within the 10 best shots I've ever seen. The 5-wood, 245 yards to 11 feet, with water on the right, having to make birdie to get into a playoff, maybe eagle to win, after playing a stretch of horrendous golf. It really was impressive, wasn't it, Liz?
It was, and when the playoff started, I said to myself, the only guy here that's a proven commodity is Roy McIlroy, that knows how to win in this situation. And I mean, let's look at the facts. Russell Henley's won 1 tournament. Ryan Palmer's won 3. And Russell Knox is a pretty good golfer, but he's an unproven commodity. Palmer can't play a fade, so he's got to go to the left side of the green. The pedigree guy there was Roy McIlroy, and he hit the shot of a lifetime. I'm not sure the Tiger could have hit that shot in his day,
No, I actually think that it's unique to Rory McIlroy, the way he can hit almost any shot. As Johnny Miller said, and I have to say, I wrote an article about Johnny Miller. I'm not particularly happy about him, but he said...
He does tend to piss people off, doesn't he?
Yeah. He said that it was came down like a sand wedge, and it did.
It did, and that's that is the beauty of Roy McIlroy's game, is being able to hit a 3-wood, 245 yards. And a lot of guys could have hit that shot in there, but who could have made it stop besides Rory? And taking on that pin placement was, I mean, you had to think he was just saying, well, if I get there, okay, and if I don't, I'm going to get wet, because I mean, any kind of slack on that shot, if he'd have just opened his club up a micro inch, he'd have been in the water, you know. So, I mean, that's what impressed me about it was the pin placement and the fact that the ball stopped when it hit the green. I can't hit a 3-wood into a green and make it stop. I gotta hit. I gotta run it up. I gotta stop. You know, I gotta hit 15 or 20 feet in front of the green and let it run up.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit the green and the ball just stopped. It was like it was a sand wedge, but he hits the ball so high that when it comes down, it's coming down at a straight down trajectory and not a forward trajectory. So, and he does that with every club in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were treated to two of the greatest shots ever on the same day. I mean, the putt from Creamer, it's just unbelievable. To win, first win in 4 years, all that comes with that. And then 20 hours later or whatever it was, thousands of miles across the globe, you have a player who's played so poorly for 8 or 9 holes that the fat in the bunker into the water, just incredible. It didn't look very good at all. And then he produces that shot, and it's incredible to see two golfers who, for different reasons, have gone off the boil slightly, and they needed to win. And okay, Creamer got the win, Rory didn't. But the shots were just out of this world, really.
I have a question that I just have to throw out there, okay? In Dubai, Rory had a really nice first round, and him and Tiger hung in there against Stephen Gallagher until the Saturday and Sunday action. And Rory again started to fade on Saturday, and he faded away on Sunday. And the difference that the question I have to throw out there is they pan the sidelines, and there's Caroline. You know, was she there on Thursday when he shot the 63? No. His parents were, but the girlfriend wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
and you have to wonder is she psychologically distracting him or something from the game?
Of course she is. She's been psychologically distracting him for 2 years.
Well, a year and a half.
Year and a half.
But I mean, she used to distract him when she wasn't there, but now it seems that he doesn't play well when she is there, and that's the question I have. Is, you know, I'd heard at Dubai that she was a bit of a problem because she didn't want to be outside the ropes with the other fans, and you know, unlike Tiger's girlfriend, who's used to the spotlight by now, that you know that she was kind of being a pain in the butt in Dubai, and then you know there wasn't much said because I guess she was traveling with Rory's parents, you know, on Saturday and Sunday, but her being in the audience.
Well, where did she want to be if she didn't want to be outside the ropes?
She wanted to be inside the ropes.
She wanted to walk the fairway with Rory.
Kinda. I think that's Matt. Don't you remember during the
in Dubai, she was inside the ropes, and there was some conversation about whether actually there'd been a rule broken because I don't think you're allowed somebody that close to you inside the ropes.
That's what I thought, and it was. I remember there was being some stuff on Twitter, and I just don't remember what it all was. But I started wondering if maybe she's just a distraction that he doesn't need on the weekends.
Either that, or she needs to pick up the bag.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not.
That's a very, very good.
That I have to say that the Honda Classic was just a little bit like a major this year. I mean, it was a really good tournament.
Yeah.
And the golf course grew teeth as the weekend went on. I'm sure they weren't watering the greens very well, but didn't it feel like a U.S. Open to you when it come around on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, it did.
I mean, didn't you get that feel with the tournament that there was just, man, there's some electricity in the air. This is This is, it feels like a major golf championship here.
Yeah, it did. And Russell Henley, I mean, we can't move on without discussing his
No,
win. I mean,
no.
the 2 or 3 of the shots he hit were just absolutely unbelievable. The pitch in, or the second shot on 14, into contention, and then the chip in on the same hole on Sunday, and then he goes and throws his ball in the water at the 15th, and you think he's done for, and he comes back and gets into the playoff and could have won it.
Well, Russell Knox did the same thing. I mean, he hit 14. He put one in the water at 14 and took a double bogey, and for all of them to be there at the end was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was such a surreal finish. I mean, you really couldn't believe what was happening. It seemed like everybody wanted to throw the tournament away, and eventually Russell Henley won with a birdie on the first playoff hole and settled it pretty quickly. But Russell Knox seems like a decent youngish talent from Scotland, or a bit of time in America. And I think maybe he's certainly contending as a new Scottish star on the PGA Tour. If he can play that well on that sort of golf course, it's
right
in a good stead for the future.
I just I kind of got into a little bit of a snafu with one of the guys on the golf community there that I said, I'd mentioned in a blog that now that the tournaments had moved to Florida, where the golf courses were a little tougher and the competition got a little stiffer, and he reminded me that Torrey Pines is a pretty tough golf course, and that PGA West was a pretty tough golf tournament, but yet they won. What was the winning score in the Humana Challenge was something like 23 under par, and we had 8 under par making playoffs. I said, man, that the golf courses in Florida are just a little tougher than.
Yeah. You have to say that. I mean, the California courses are tough during the summer, but they're softer, more receptive in January and February. So, but the Florida courses are in peak condition, and obviously the wind quite a lot. There's a lot of water on all the golf courses used in Florida, and it is a major championship golf course. It has hosted majors before.
Yeah.
And it was a great tournament, even though probably most people wanted to see Rory claim the win. But so we cannot move on from the Honda Classic without talking about Tiger Woods and abject golf and a withdrawal after 13 holes on Sunday.
What do you all think about that?
Well, I mentioned it in a blog day before yesterday that Tiger has gotten himself into the same position that David Duval put himself in back in the early 90s. Works out so much and got his body so chiseled that he's losing his suppleness, I think.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense, Matt? That he's.
I think a lot of people have said that in the last few days, and you only have to look on YouTube. You can find videos of the exercises that Tiger does, and they're just not relevant to golf. I think Hank Haley said in his book as well that the exercises he's doing is to make himself bigger and bigger and bigger, and
right.
That is not the way to get better at golf.
Well, he's gotten bigger since the end of the 2013 season. I mean, he's put on 10 or 15 pounds of chiseled muscle since then. I mean,
it's strange. I mean, he had a very good year in 2012 and 2013, and obviously 5 wins last year. And you'd think, why continue to change things? I do think I sometimes dream about this scenario happening, but I wake up and it hasn't happened. That he will swallow his pride and pick up the phone to Butch Harmon and say, look, I've made a huge mistake. The last 5 years of my life have been a waste of time, and and I'm just.
I don't think that's going to happen. But
The swing just is not good enough to hold up under any sort of pressure. You know.
I mean, Tiger in his younger days snapped that left knee so hard to get the distance that he needed.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, when he first come out, he was one of the bombers on the. He was the guy that they were chasing every week with distance off the tee, and it came from that left knee, and he can't do that anymore. I mean, that's over with. That part of his life is over with.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other golfers still playing well into their 40s and even their 50s that can still bang it out there, and he's just got to find another way to do it. And I'm not sure Sean Foley has all the answers for him.
Well, I think he's just got to sacrifice distance for accuracy. If you're not on the fairway, I mean, goodness knows what he's going to do. Doral, I mean, moving on to talk about Doral, if he's offline at Doral, this newly designed golf course, he's going to lose every ball in the bag.
Yeah, and you got to think Phil's going to have the same problem,
Yeah.
Because Phil can't keep in the fairway either.
Well, you see, now talk about the difference, Les, between Phil and Tiger, because Phil doesn't stay in the fairway. He goes all over the place, and he still has a winning game. What's the difference?
Well, he's got Tiger right now in his career has to depend on the other parts of his game, because he can't get off the tee. Rory struggles off the tee. But Rory finds a way to, he's got an excellent short game. The guy can putt. There isn't a shot in the bag that he can't perform. And Phil's kind of the same way, when he got in contention there at Dubai, it was largely due to his short game. The short game was on, and you're not going to come to the golf course every day and your putter, and you're dropping every putt,
Right.
You're going to go through some tough times, and Tiger is consistently trying to make 40 and 50-foot putts, and he can't make a living doing that.
And also, I have a question for both of you. When was the last time you remember seeing Tiger hit an amazing shot from behind the trees or in the rough? Because he used to do that for a decade or more.
Yeah.
And his
at Pebble Beach, right after he came back, what was in 2008 or 2010?
Yeah.
10. He hit a shot on 18 there. Do you remember that shot from behind the little tree that he faded around the tree, kept it out of the water, and got it on the green in two? And he was excited and went out there and looked and jumped and did a. That was the last good shot I've seen Tiger make out of trouble.
Yeah.
And if you remember the playoff at Torrey Pines with Rocco Mediate, he drove the ball to the right into the other fairway and got into a fairway bunker on the other fairway.
Yeah.
And he hit a 5-iron that I swear to God there's nobody on the planet could hit. That he drew it around a tree, out of the sand trap, 85, 90 yards, and landed it on the green.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's nobody that can do that.
No. I mean, obviously it remains to be seen whether he plays this week at Doral with his back injury, and we have to assume that it's a genuine injury. So, obviously this week it's getting headlines now. But if Adam Scott was to win and Tiger finishes, I think it's outside the top 7, Adam Scott would become the world number 1. He's had a quiet start to the season, but an amazing last 12 months. And Australians have a very, very good record at Doral. They've got 7 wins, I think it is. Greg Norman with 3 of them. And you never know. I mean, this could be the week where he comes out and it all comes together. But obviously the pressure is on. He knows in the back of his mind.
I think the guy to watch out for is the number 4 player right now.
Jason Day.
Yeah. Jason Day is coming in there with a ton of confidence now that he finally withstood the wrath of the Frenchman, and he I mean, he was talking about it on his press conference today about the the misery he went through at Dove Mountain trying to get that win, and little Frenchman kept getting in his way. But I think Jason Day can play as good as anybody on the planet now.
Yeah.
And, he just needed a little confidence boost to get over that hump, and I think he did it. So I'd watch out for him this week.
Yeah, I think he's got as good a chance as anybody. So the redesigned golf course, I've seen pictures of it. It looks absolutely spectacular, and finally the golf course is back to somewhere like it was in terms of fearsome reputation 30, 40 years ago. They've left the 18th alone, apart from a few palm trees they've installed on the right-hand side to block out any sort of wild drive and try and recover from the right side. So, but it's the first hole's an amazing par 5 now, 80 yards longer than it was, with water on the right of the green. And I think it's going to be an amazing week because it is essentially a brand new golf course.
Yeah, I've read some of the articles on it, and they've added water, they've added sand. A golf course that used to be really tough back in the old Eastern Airline days, when Greg Norman was winning there. When it used to be what was it? The Eastern Airlines Open in those days.
It's a Rail Rider Open, wasn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, I can't wait for it to get started. I want to see, some action on that new golf course.
Yeah, I mean, Durrell, I think I said a few weeks ago, Elizabeth, was used to be an LPGA venue as well. And this is another opportunity where the women playing on that would show the variety to that golf course, because you'd have forward tees, and it would be just as entertaining as you've seen with the HSBC Women's Champions played on a golf course that the men used to play on. And that produced a dramatic finish. So I think another could have done a dual event. But I think that Rory McIlroy has to be coming in here, even though he had a bad final round. His results since the PGA Championship have been really consistent. He knows under pressure he can hit any shot on the bag. And I think he's done okay here before. I think his best finish is 4th, and I could see him going close again this week.
Yeah, well, in fact, last year in the middle of his god awful season that he had last year, if you remember right, he shot 65 in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
and actually moved up the leaderboard there. We thought, oh, Rory's back, and then he fell apart on Sunday again, but. He did shoot 65 on Saturday last year, and that was a pretty darn good round of golf there.
Yeah,
against that. Yeah.
I think he's certainly a contender this week. Henrik Stenson, I think that the memory of Durrell and Henrik Stenson is when he went into the water dressed in just his underwear. I think that's the only good memory he has of the place, maybe. If it's a good memory, I don't know.
I don't think you're going to see Stenson emerge until they get to Texas. That's where he emerged last year, and that seems to be about where he finally gets his game back together after his layoff,
So, but yeah, it's an amazing week. Obviously, it's the Donald Trump show, and I'm sure he will. He's the only person with an ego bigger than Tim Finchley, I think.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
So we will see. I'm sure we'll see plenty of him. But it's what he's done for golf. Generally speaking, I think is fantastic. He's invested billions of pounds. There's a new golf course I've read that he's building in Brooklyn. It's like a links-style golf course.
In Brooklyn?
I think it's Brooklyn, yeah. Or the Bronx. The Bronx, I think.
The Bronx.
Yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah. And it was literally wasteland, and he's transformed it into a links-style layout.
Oh, my heavens.
Just incredible investment in golf. And as much as I may mock him, but I think what he's doing for golf around the world as well, and for this course particularly, because Durrell, to the television viewer, Durrell was all about one hole. The first hole was as easy as you get. It was always birdie. It
Yep.
was an iron, 2 irons, and you were getting to the green. Now he's restored it with the help of Gil Hance to what it should be, and I think it'll only add to this championship.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to it.
I think we need to go play the Bronx.
Yeah, it's too cold up here.
Well, I know, but it'll warm up after a while. It's too cold everywhere right now.
As long as you can get internet signal there, we can do a hangout from the Bronx. So, but yeah, it's going to be an amazing week this week, as it was last week. Doral and all that goes with it. We'll be back next week talking more about the world of golf, and we'll be chatting away, and hopefully John will be able to join us for more than a few minutes. But it's unfortunate. It's one of those things. It's just technology. It doesn't always work out. So, but from myself, from Les, and from Elizabeth, it's good evening and good night.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thanks, Matt. Bye, Les.
Bye-bye.